Welcome to another Retro Crazy. In this episode we're going to be looking at a purchase, and that purchase was a Nintendo Switch and 4 Joy-Cons. This whole lot came off of a website called Gumtree. I picked the whole lot up for £80. None of it's working. So in this particular Retro Crazy, I'm not looking at this. This can go away. What we will be looking at are the 4 Joy-Cons. You can see the various states of the controllers. First test is, do we get anything? That blipped. That's dead. That appears dead. Oh. It's kind of functioning but not fully. And that connected because I happen to have my daughter's Switch here. So this one's functioning. You've seen the controllers or the Joy-Cons in a separate video. So I'm just going to drop these off. And I'm going to test each one of these. That registered blue. And that registered orange. So good start. Let's find out what happens when we go into the settings. On the first one, you've got stick drift. Plus battery. On this one, while the stick is fine, we're completely missing the rubber. So stick plus battery, and let's move on to the green and the pink. The green registers. And there goes the pink. So let's first, oh, right, I can feel that straight away, that's just not right. Nothing there. So in all of these I'm going to really need to replace these sticks, and by the feel of it, change the batteries as well, and do some cleanup in general because that button was quite sticky. Okay, apparently Lego City was still running. I'm also going to take the opportunity, as I did previously, to change the pin, and in fact it's now got a charge. So it may just have been things being a bit not quite right. There we go. Low battery on that one, warning. This one's registering fine. So they're all working. These, I think, in fact, these are still showing. It might just be a problem with the battery on the green one. It's the only one that's given me a warning. We'll find out. And to start with, well, that's the worst button. Nothing there. Let's look at these two. So try wing to remove the 4 retaining screws for the main body. That should then give us access to be able to pop the casing. Now that we've got that apart, we need to make it safe, so we need to disconnect the battery. I'm going to use a plastic pry tool or a spudger, and I'm going to try and get underneath the battery and just connect her and just pop it up, like so. And that is the connector done and out. So next, we need to actually remove the battery itself. Now we need to do this without damaging the battery, and it is taped down, so you just want to gently get underneath it and lift, and that should lift and just disappear off to the side. This gives us access to everything on the mid-frame, and I can see 1, 2 screws there and a cable which connects these buttons. So I'm going to undo that and just gently flip everything over. Maybe a third one over here as well. I'm just going to lift this out, pop it to the side. I don't need to disconnect it, I don't think. I can see the cable connected. There we go. Now that I'm this far in, I can gently turn that, and you can see this cable and 2 screws holding in the joystick. I'm just going to lift up this connector, which should free the cable. And now I should be able to remove the 2 retaining screws for the joystick. Now that they're out, that should be free, and I should just be able to lift it clear and throw it to the side. Now I have a pack which came from eBay. I'll put the link up in the my goodness, trying to do this on a monitor when you can't see, about here, but I'll also put it in the description. And of course, you can't get into it. Let's try again. Now these aren't expensive, and it comes with a full set of tools that you might need to do this job. So you get 2 replacement joysticks, 2 screwdrivers, standard Phillips, and a tri-wing. Not the highest quality, but better than a lot that have been supplied. Another spudger, double-sided, and a little what looks like a guitar pick. It's still a spudger. So handy things to hold on to, although for the other ones, yay, I get another full set. So here's our replacement. I'm going to lift the board and just gently pop it into place, except for the fact it won't go through because of the mushroom cap. There we go. Now comes the delicate job, dropping this cable in. And now carefully flipping this over. And you can see I managed to knock a button out, so hopefully I'll just be able to start that screw and drop this back into place, like so. Now, before I go and put the battery in, I did spot something that I need to look at, and it could be one of the reasons that it's playing up a little bit. Let me show you that connector. It's not very clean at all. These are all quite dark. So I'm just going to very carefully unscrew that so it's separate from this lower frame. That'll give me a bit more access to this, and I'm going to be cleaning that up. So I also have this release to replace, and if you remember, we did it in the last video without removing any of the cables. I'm just going to disconnect all this and get it out of the way, which will allow us to work fully on this without worrying about damaging anything. There we are. That one is one that could get damaged quite easily. There is a secondary one in here that goes down, but we're going to leave that there. It gives me a bit more freedom to work. This plate, if you remember, was quite tight and needed pried up. It's recessed into place. And that leaves the mechanism to come out. So if we're careful, this should just lift, complete with spring. Now again, I have replacements, and it's important that I get the right side, and that is the correct one. So I'm going to remove the spring, pop it into the back, and just drop it into place. Now that that's in, covering cap back on, followed by the screw. And that is that bit done. And we're going to have a quick look at these connectors. So I'm going to start first with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol onto Q-tip or a cotton bud, however you prefer to think of them, and just give it a wipe down. So now I've gone over it with isopropyl alcohol, that hasn't made a huge amount of difference. So I'm going to try, first of all, a fiberglass pen. Now obviously do not inhale fiberglass fragments, not good for you in the slightest. I'm keeping well away from this, and I will clean it up at the end using isopropyl alcohol to lift all of that up. I can start to see all the contacts becoming shiny, including the one that was very, very dark. Now that that's done, we can put this board back on. And now that that one's connected, I can drop the battery pack back in. For the battery, line it up, push straight down on top. Touching a button, I can see the chase sequence, so the battery's connected. First of all, this panel. Single screw there to retain it. And now carefully fold everything back over. Lining everything up, it should hopefully just clip together. Like so. And then back to the 4 screws, the tri-wings that we took out at the very beginning. Now obviously if you're replacing the battery, you can see you can do that without needing to disconnect anything. We've got a nice new button. Apologies, we've got a nice new joystick. And let's see what our switch says to it. There we go, perfect. So that's now done. I'll quickly go through the others and check them. So see you in a minute. Okay, so I've got into the orange controller and I've found this. And unfortunately this is one of the shoulder buttons. So I'm going to need to repair this, obviously, before I can do any form of reassembly. It looks like it's been torn clean off the board. Not going to be an easy one. So I'm going to have to remove the entire circuit board. So to do that, I'm just going to start popping off all of the connectors and all the ancillaries. Now that I've got it down to the circuit board, I'm going to pop this aside. This will be the last one I do. We'll see if we can recover this. I'm not sure I've got any wire fine enough for this. I will need to check because it is quite a fine setup on this, and I'm going to have to use the microscope because this is very, very, very small contact patches. Not sure, let's see what happens with that one. So apologies, I'm recording this after I've actually recorded this section because I stupidly forgot to switch the mic on. I'm using a pin so you can see the scale here. This is really, really small. These traces, they're not much bigger than the pin head, so they're going to be quite challenging to work on. So these pads look fine. I should be able to solder directly onto them after a quick clean up. These pads, however, have completely gone. There's nothing left. They're still attached to the actual shoulder switch, but the traces look intact. These two are joined together and they disappear off through this via. This one, trace is still there to the via. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and scratch back the conformal coating, revealing the trace. I will tin those up and then I'll use some very, very fine wire. So here's the lacquered wire I'll be using. It's 0.1 of a millimetre. You can see it's going to be almost perfect for this, but you get an idea of just how small this is. So let's get on with it. So there we go, that's all 4 done, all 4 working, all buttons tested, charging, absolutely fine, no problems at all. So cost wise, these came free in a broken switch, and these retail at £50–60 a pair minimum, new. What did it cost? Well, it was £9.18 for each, sorry, for all 4 of the actual thumbsticks. So £9.18, woo. I've had to replace one side connector. That was £3.29, because if I move it, they'll all light up and everything will be fine. If I put it back in place, they don't light up. That's all that's wrong. It's still charging, the buttons still work, it's just the LEDs, broken contact in there. And for the size of it, I'm not going to try and faff about resoldering and fixing it. But I have one other fault, and that's on the green one. One of the pins isn't actually pushing out properly, it's stuck in, which means when I put it into, I've got a standalone dock for charging these, it won't register, it won't do anything. However, if I bend it that way in the dock or pull it back, just put a bit of paper behind it, it'll charge no problem. So a replacement sidebar is coming, which includes all the pins, direct from China, and that was £2.72. So not a lot of money to get all these working. So worthwhile. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you on the next Retro Crazy.